Welcome to Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton, where we equip pastors to take their churches from declining to thriving by pointing them to a new future and a new hope. Join us weekly for encouragement and practical advice in your pastoring journey.
All right, changing plans.
We're going to call an audible.
Yeah, we're calling an audible. We're changing plans. We said in our last podcast, oh, by the way, this is Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton sitting there. And there's Mark Hallock. And there's Kyle Bierman there running the controls. I'm Dan Hurst. In our last podcast, we were talking about things about Sunday school, how to make Sunday school function. And we thought, and in a future date, we're going to talk about Sunday school. And we thought, okay, the next podcast would be a future date. So we're just going to continue that vein because we kind of got excited about it and talking about this idea of Sunday school.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I always giggled at the name. I mean, always. I mean, even as a boy, I remember, well, I'm going to Sunday school. But you know what? It has its place. It has its, it has a name that everybody recognizes. And we thought that structure is in place. And if you're a pastor going into a new revitalize or replant situation, your Sunday school teachers are your team.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they're the people that will serve as your cheerleader for their people, and they're the ones that will if they're in your corner, you're going to win. So let's talk about Sunday school and what can you do to make a difference in your ministry through Sunday school.
And if you didn't listen to last podcast, it was basically what can small groups learn from Sunday school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we go, well, why don't we just talk about Sunday school? Because there is a move, and this comes from an article from the Gospel Coalition. These are some churches moving back to Sunday school from small groups. Yeah. Real quick, Mark, talk about Tony's church and what you know about that.
So Tony Merida, just interesting, great pastor, great church, Imago Dei out in North Carolina. And our church, we've been influenced by their church in different ways, but they are a church that, like many, have prioritized small groups for years and groups in homes, that kind of thing. And I don't know moving forward exactly what all that looks like, but what I do know is they are restructuring how they do Sunday morning to make Sunday school a priority again. So instead of having, I think before they had 2 services, this is pretty common. And, you got kids stuff at the 2, and you might have a couple other adult classes. But Sunday school, in a sense, really is it's not front and center. And now what they're saying is, hey, look, we have to make the most of our time on Sunday morning with the folks who are already there in terms of discipleship. And so in order to do that, we have to prioritize this. So now they've adjusted their worship times to allow for a very intentional Sunday school hour, discipleship hour in between those 2 services. But the thing is, it's not just Tony. I mean, this is a shift. This is a move that we're seeing around the country of churches that are saying, look, we've got to maximize, especially in cities. I'm just telling you, man, I live in Denver. But I think it's even in small towns. Yeah. I think it's even small towns.
Yeah, I agree. What churches are coming back to is realizing people's schedules are incredibly busy. We've talked about it so many times. People work, mom and dad both work, and sometimes they work 2 jobs, and kids have school stuff going on and all kinds of things. And they're already there on Sunday morning, right? So you've already got them there. I know I keep pushing my microphone back because I scream into it. You're already there on Sunday morning, and it's so funny, like we want to run away from Sunday school because it doesn't work. And then we go to small groups, and then we realize, there were some good things about Sunday school, and there were some excellent things about it. Yeah. Church now that I'm a part of is a large church in Lenexa, Kansas, and they said the other night that for Sunday morning it requires 700 volunteers to function on Sunday morning. Now this is a church that averages around 3,000 or more, 4,000 on a weekend. But a lot of those 700 are involved in somebody's Sunday school class. So it's like not only do you have people coming on Sunday morning, but because they're in a Sunday school class and they have responsibilities, they're actually engaged more than just showing up and worshiping. Okay, so let's look at some reasons why you either A, might consider going from small groups back to Sunday school, Yeah. Or if you have Sunday school, just reinventing it to what it originally was to begin with. Going back to its original purpose. And so here are some things. First of all, I want to start with this one. One of the things Sunday school can do so well, and one of the reasons it was designed, was to develop leaders and develop teachers. In Sunday school, you always want to have not only a teacher in your class, but you want to have an assistant teacher and someone that you're training to be a teacher. And then, as we talked about in the last podcast, someone to take care of the administrative needs of the class, someone to be a secretary, make sure you got all the addresses and emails and stuff of everybody, and that they stay in contact. Somebody to be a care leader, make sure if somebody gets sick or has a need. So you got all these different people in this class that have some ongoing responsibility. All of that, Mr. Hallock and Mr. Hurst, is developing leaders in your church. It totally is.
I love that.
How do you develop leaders on Sunday morning
that.
if all you have is Sunday morning worship?
That's
How do you
exactly
develop
right.
a leader in that? Maybe get somebody to pass out donuts and a bulletin?
Yeah.
But other than that, what do you do?
Yeah.
And the reality of it is, if you've got 100 people there on Sunday morning, that's a potential 100 people that could be in your small groups and developing leaders.
And they
if you have 100 people on Sunday morning, let's be honest, how many of those are really going to be engaged in a Thursday night small group in somebody's home? It's not going to be 100 of them.
Yeah.
But the potential is you could get everybody there on Sunday morning. They're already there.
That's right.
And especially if you have something for their children and their youth.
Yep.
It's like, I guarantee you, if Sunday school had not ever been developed and somebody came up today with this idea, everybody would think it was the greatest thing we've ever heard. I think that's probably what
No,
would
I think
happen.
you're right.
Well, and it all comes back to this function. People have needs, and they come to church because they have needs, and they worship because they have needs, but they also study the Bible because they have needs. And Sunday school fulfills one of those elements. And people need fellowship. You know, if your Sunday school is just merely a club, you know, to get together for fellowship, you're missing an incredible opportunity. And let's face it, a lot of Sunday school classes, that's all they are.
Yeah.
But if it's to create this biblical knowledge that I can take and apply in my own life, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I'm alongside Bill and Susie, and they're kind of going through the same thing. There is a body life that's developing, and it develops in Sunday school far faster and far stronger than it does in any other element of your church.
Yeah. I mean, the growth in let me just speak to this for a minute on another reason is to grow in biblical knowledge. I recently listened to an interview with Al Mohler, president of Southern Seminary, and he grew up, and he was sharing how literally growing up, and I think you've said the same thing. He was at church during his whole childhood 5 to 6 times a week.
Yeah.
I mean, 5 to 6 times a week.
Yeah.
Now, contrast that with the average committed evangelical Christian today goes to church twice a month.
Right.
How do you get those, though? To go back to what you were talking about, Clifton, that person who's only coming twice a month is still has a responsibility in the kingdom, right?
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are gifted teachers and don't even know it.
Yeah, well, here's my point.
Your point is, back in the day, because I went Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, and maybe one other night for something else, I had many opportunities to be developed, many opportunities for discipleship, But if I show up just only on Sunday morning and just walk into worship and leave, and then even then I'm only there every other Sunday morning, and yet, so if you have Sunday school on Sunday morning,
right.
People always say, I mean, maybe you would get more consistency week to week if they were part of a class. If they were connected to a class rather than just, you know, if I just show up to a large church, nobody really knows if I'm there or not. But if I'm part of a class of 12 or 14, and if I have a role in that class, I'm probably going to make some more effort to be there on a weekly basis.
Right.
And I'm going to have an hour or 45 minutes to dive into some biblical knowledge. Talk to me, guys, a minute about how important curriculum is in a Sunday school class. And, you know, in small groups, this is probably going to get me in some trouble, but in small groups, it's kind of like, I know in some of you have small groups in your church.
We have a combination of classes and small groups.
What do your small groups teach?
Well, so most of our small groups, which we call community groups, are sermon based.
That's why they're sermon based.
They're sermon based. So we're gonna focus on application primarily of the sermon the previous Sunday.
Okay.
So it's low prep intentionally, right? So in our small community groups, you share a meal together. So the primary purpose of our community groups, though, is not discipleship as much as it is community, connection, and praying for one another, caring for one another. That's different, though, than what we call our Calvary Institute, which is giving folks an overview of New Testament studies, Old Testament studies, apologetics, church history.
When do they do that?
This kind of thing. So, that's where we're moving toward potentially doing this on Sunday morning.
On Sunday morning.
Does that make sense? So that's more
does.
of our traditional academic
Yeah.
track, which we do. We will have Institute classes on Sunday morning at one of our 2 worship hours. But we also do that on Sunday nights. We'll do it on Wednesday nights. So we'll offer classes at different times.
Well, when talking about developing, the first reason was to really, we looked at was to develop teachers and leaders, and these are not in any particular order. The second was, to grow in biblical knowledge. But if you use Southern Baptist Sunday school curriculum, and I'm going to say again, particularly the Gospel Project. If you use the Gospel Project, which goes through the entire Scripture, I think every 5 years, and that's true for preschoolers, for children, for youth, for adults. So the whole church is going through the Bible every 5 years. And the thing about the curriculum is you're all in the same place going through it, no matter where you are in your family, you're all going through that. Secondly, it's designed to help you teach. So there are teaching guides to help you teach this. So someone who doesn't really know how to teach or has never really done that, this curriculum helps you do that. And then thirdly, you can come together and you can teach all the teachers how to teach with this curriculum, and you're all sort of on the same page, and it's all biblical based. So Sunday school curriculum, and I know sometimes and some of you listening to me, pastors, this is where you have a problem. You get some Sunday school classes who say, we don't want to do the curriculum. We want to do our own thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you have to define what your own thing is.
Yeah, but I think one of the great values of Sunday school is we all are doing the same thing. Where it's building community. We know we're in the book of Timothy. Whereas if Bob wants to teach this book from he found someplace, I just think we need to all. Yeah, I know there's a lot of church out there that will have options on Sunday. So you can go to this class, you can go to that class. It teaches this, it teaches that. I really think if we're talking pure Sunday school and how it works the best, if you want to know how it works the best, I think we're all from the same curriculum. We're directing our teachers to learn from the same curriculum. They're teaching the same curriculum. It brings a unity to that. I just think that's really important.
Can I say this? I really do think it comes back to the vision and mission of what you want to accomplish. Because I think, even in this article, I resonate with this because I think this is a trend that we see. If you're not familiar with J.T. English, his book Deep Discipleship, very influential right now. The article says, in early September, we replaced discussion groups about the sermons with classes like Christian Essentials, Engaging the World, Church History, Systematic Theology, Old Testament. That's where I'm at. That's where our church is at, because I think we're not only biblically illiterate, we are theologically illiterate. Our people do not know what they believe or why they believe it.
But I will say this: there's a lot of churches that couldn't teach that because you don't have people to teach it.
No, that's right.
So they can teach the Gospel Project. That's what I'm saying.
That's true.
It's much easier to teach.
But I will say the beauty of these, though, I will argue with technology, is a lot of these have videos. There's different ways to teach content. But my point is this: we have to raise the bar on helping our people live as knowledgeable disciples of Jesus Christ in a world that is increasingly secular. I agree with that. How are we equipping our people to do that? Because we're getting eaten up, man. We're getting eaten up. So that's kind of however you do it. The bottom line is right now, let's be honest, the bar is so low as far as discipleship in the church. We've got to have a game plan and help educating our people in growing as disciples.
Well, the Gospel Project is functional. That we know that it works. And because it works and it's already proven and it's so well done. It's taken years to develop, and so we're handing our people something that gives them a foundation to start, and particularly in revitalize and replant situations. With normative-sized churches, that's going to be critical for your people.
Yeah.
We've tried the Sunday school, quarterly.
Back in the day, we actually had the unified lesson. This is so old. But this is probably in the 60s, 70s. Some of you guys may know, maybe even later than that. Maybe it's still going on. I don't know. Where the mainline denominations would all agree that this is what we're going to be studying. And so it was a unified, and Southern Baptists participated in that. Now, we wrote our own curriculum. We didn't use anybody else's.
Yeah.
But it was like that we were all...
Everybody was kind of doing the same thing.
And what my brother here is talking about is and some of you still use this curriculum. The Southern Baptist Lifeway has different curriculum. And some of it is more topic-oriented and more issue-oriented and more application-oriented. But the Gospel Project goes through a book of the Bible.
Yeah.
And that's what and so if we're talking about biblical knowledge, I would lean toward the Gospel Project.
Yeah, I totally. And I mean, let's face it, what was happening was our teachers were just handed something and said, teach this.
Yeah.
But we weren't teaching them to teach. Right. And all of those other things that we've talked about, the dynamics of the class itself kind of fell by the wayside. It's just the teacher gets up and how many times were we in class where the teacher would just read from the quarterly, and there wasn't any real connection. And I remember going to some classes sometime when I was traveling around and working with different churches, and I'd sit in a Sunday school class, and the teacher would just be doing something, and reading something, and somebody would ask a question. And it was so clear that this person was actually looking for answers. And the teacher would just kind of blow it off, or come up with a joke because they didn't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. There was no community being developed there. And if we want our church to be this lighthouse in our community, then our classes have to be little lighthouses in their communities.
I want to totally agree with Hallock. Yeah. If you've got people who can teach apologetics on Sunday morning and that's great. Yeah. But if you're a normative sized church and your teachers are out now just reading from the book. Then what you can do is, if you're going through like the Gospel Project, you can, if you got 4 or 5 adult classes, maybe one youth class or a children's class, you as the pastor could get them together on Wednesday night, and you could teach them how to teach next Sunday morning Sunday school class, because you're all in the same book. You're all. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's very reproducible.
Well, so, and you as the pastor, man. I mean, here, I guess part of me, depending on what season of church, I'm just saying, dude, you're the pastor. Your job is to disciple these people. And it may take time to raise up teachers who are gifted to do that. It's not an excuse, though, I guess I would say, to not help your people be growing and settle for, whatever, a 101 level. There are people who are hungry in your churches, even if you got 12 people, to go deeper, and we need to help them go deeper.
Absolutely.
Okay. I agree.
And the fact that, and as we've already said, they're there on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So let's take advantage of that time and be much more efficient in our approach to giving them what they came to church for.
So why do we go back to Sunday school? As we said, number one, they're already there, so it's a good use of time. Number 2, it's a great way to develop leaders and help leaders teach. Mm-hmm. Number 3, it can be very biblical focused and help us do good biblical insight. Number 4, it also can, as we've said, foster deeper community. Rather than just people showing up on Sunday morning for worship and leaving, it puts them in a group. It puts them with other people. It fosters that community. As we talked about in a previous podcast last week, you can try to get people to be part of your Sunday school class who aren't even members of your church. It's an outreach kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So when people look at it and say, wait a minute, do y'all have anything that can, train leaders, teach the Bible, communicate well to the lost, and try to get lost people to be engaged in something in our church, and do something that when the majority of our people are already in the building on Sunday morning, that would be Sunday school. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I think some of you ran away from it way too quick. Yeah. And I agree the Sunday school that you had was not functioning well. But that doesn't mean you couldn't go back and begin again and make it what Sunday school was supposed to be. And let me just say this, ladies and gentlemen. You've got a state convention wherever you are.
Yes.
And you can call that state convention when this podcast is over, and you can say, I want help with my Sunday school. And they got somebody there that would come and help you do everything we just told you about. Yep. Your state convention knows how to do Sunday school. Yep. And they can help train your leaders and train your workers. And if you're in a revitalization situation, man, rather than trying to blow up the worship music or try to change all kinds of things and change your name and change the logo and all that, just say, hey, can we make our Sunday school better? And you could even say, can we make it like it used to be? Mm. Can we go back to what Sunday school used to be?
Yep.
And work with what you've got and see if that won't work. All right?
Wow, that's
great.
exciting. I
Good
tell you
stuff.
what, this kind of stuff floats my boat. So I hope it's been encouraging to you and will in some way stimulate your faith and your calling as a pastor to lead your people to revitalize and to grow, not only personally but as a church as a whole. We hope it's been a blessing to you. Thank you to the North American Mission Board for making this possible. By the way, there's lots of material even available through the North American Mission Board. Just go online and start checking some of that stuff out. It'll get you excited. And thank you so much for spending time with us, and we hope you'll join us next time on Revitalize and Replant with Mark Clifton.
Thanks for joining us today on Revitalize and Replant. This podcast is brought to you by the North American Mission Board, where we help dying or struggling churches regain health for the glory of God and the good of their communities. If you found this conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. To learn more about becoming a replanting pastor or to explore resources about revitalization for your own church, visit churchreplanters.com.